The following program contains coarse language, a lot like real life. Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh, indeed. Viewer discretion will be needed tonight. It is episode 100, A Comedy of Errors. I don't think anybody, especially myself, ever figured I'd make it to this point. But yeah, here we are, a little over 2 years into this, 100 episodes. Started up again, not only the disclaimer for all you Yoko fans, but the views, thoughts, expressions, language, etc., expressed by me is me. I'm obscene. Yeah, welcome to it. Tonight's going to be one of those nights. Fair warning. No fucks are going to be given. I figured it's the only way really to kind of dance this, which is why I got my brother Ed Contini coming on in a little while. And that just is how it's going to be. We're just going to rip it the fuck apart. I see my lovely lady saying hello from South Padre Island. Yes, she's living it up while the wolf freezes his fucking ass off up here. I see how it is. It's going to be that kind of night. Jennifer knows what I'm talking about. So thank you, everybody who has so graciously followed and been a part of this along the way. Too many people to list, but much gratitude, much love for the support along the way. So I chose A Comedy of Errors because I just couldn't literally, I was asking Shai before she left, I was like, have I used this title? Like my brain sometimes gets to this degree, like I don't want to be redundant, but how many times can you say the same thing, as they say? So I try and find ways to shift the dynamic, but inevitably I find myself dragged back into certain aspects of things. It is what it is. I see my mother's hanging out there in the shadows. Thank you, Ma. I love you much. And again, as with, and I've said this before, a lot of this is her fault. Okay. She raised me. She gave me these genetics. So I am a product to some degrees of her imagination, but also of her love and her support. So all joking aside, I love you, Ma. So yes, it's going to be a little bit weird. I'm going to pretty much take the fucking chains off of Ed, and I'm going to purposely poke the bear because I know there's certain things that he just loves to go off on rants. And, you know, we really can't do that on FM radio. So we have to play nice and we have to say things in odd little ways and we have to dance around the FCC. Whereas out here, yeah, guess what? Welcome to the wild, wild fucking West. Okay. So yeah, we're going to shoot it for what it is. Want to shout out a couple of things that are going on with some folks in our lives. The first one that I want to pop up real quick, my brother Doug Mack, DougMackArt.com. You can see the cat pink up there. I grabbed one of those shirts for my son. Let me tell you, it's fucking amazing work. Really cool stuff. He's got a show coming up, and he's going to be on the Friday morning Good, Bad, and the Ugly show on WRFZ, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over at Rochester Free Radio. We're going to dance some funky stuff, talk about what is going on. We're also going to have somebody from the Geneva Library come down and talk about some of the stuff that they have going on. So it's going to be a really interesting show. Bunch of really cool stuff over there. Rochester Free Radio, definitely worth checking out if you got some time. I also want to shout out my brothers and sisters in the band Bonded by Darkness. They have a show coming up, and I want to pop this up here. Yes, here we go. With special guest Orion Sword, The Crossing, Hectic Ballroom. It's going to be over at the Vortex in Akron, Ohio. It's going to be Friday, March 8th. Bonded, I know, Brother Josh, his son, and Raven, they've really been working some wild stuff. So this should be a really interesting show. I'm going to play something of theirs a little bit later on in the evening. And again, as always, the bands that I play, and I tend to play them repetitively. That's because I think they're worthy of it. So that's what I do. So I'm looking forward to some new music from them, new music from Hollowell. I got Ayla Huff, a.k.a. Me, Myself, and I. Annika's got a new album dropping in a couple of days. Frail's working on a new album. So there's going to be a lot of good music popping throughout the year. And I'm really, again, honored to be a part of it. I see my brother Jonathan has got the AO. So I don't know if he's, if the keyboard's just fighting him. Is it an alien invasion in Oklahoma? Who the fuck knows what's going on out there? We live in crazy times, man. Crazy times, crazy times. So I also want to shout out my brother Tattoo, Tony Rodriguez, the Under My Skin for Life Foundation. They've got the Rock Against Dystrophy. It's for the brothers. That's going to be March 23rd down at VFW Post 2179 in Port Monmouth. That's Route 36 for all you Jersey people. And this is going to be, when the tickets are sold out for this, that's going to be it. So for those of you, want to check out a really great metal show for a really great cause, they got some really cool people lined up for it. Check them out. Facebook, social media, online. It's going to be a really cool event. I also want to shout out, again, my brothers, Brian Judah there on the left, Crazy Ed in the middle, and then, me, the ugly, on the right. Those of you, you can't miss that hair or fucking beard. But we do a show Friday mornings, as mentioned, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on Rochester Free Radio. If you go over to the rochesterfreeradio.com website, hit the schedule. There's a lot of great shows that go on, too many to list. We're involved in a bunch of stuff, and we're going to be involved in more. We're going to be producing some shows. We're going to be doing some stuff over at the Iron Smoke Distillery, maybe a couple other places. We're going to see where things go. We've got some collaborative projects in the works. My brother Mark Tulin out there is going to be laying down, as always, some drum work, and we're going to see where it goes. We're going to make music. That's what we do. And we're going to call shit out as we see it. And Brother Jonathan's like, cannabis and lavender tea. Yeah, that's an interesting combination. I'm not going to say I've ever had that one, but hey, whatever works, brother, whatever works. So I also want to shout out a couple of folks that have been very supportive and are going to be a big part of things going forward. Versus Mythical Treasures here in Rochester, New York, technically in Henrietta. They're over in the Tops Plaza for any of you folks that are in the Western New York area. Really incredible place for magical stuff, be it crystals, be it incense, be it tarot cards, be it all types of stuff. And one of the beautiful things about the Mythic Treasures is that they're constantly doing free events. They're doing meditations, they're doing meet and greets, they're doing classes on astrology, on all kinds of wild stuff. Now, especially in this day and age, to have a brick and mortar place that actually is doing free events for people to come down and learn to engage in, this is real magic, not the bullshit, Etsy kind of, hey, buy my bullshit mode. And it's not to say that everybody on Etsy is full of shit, but, if the plastic slipper fits, please buy, of course, jam it deep in your ass. Yes. Can you tell I'm quitting smoking? Yeah, it's going to be fucking edgy. I've been dancing a little bit of that kind of, ooh, yes, the body wants what the body wants. And listen, all joking aside, nicotine is a powerfully addictive fucking drug. Don't kid yourself, okay? Everybody out there, if you can avoid that particular dynamic in your life, you will ultimately be better served. I make no illusions about it. I don't fucking pretend. It's something that I have dragged around like a fucking lead albatross. And I finally, after a couple bouts now of COVID and just not being able to do the things that I used to do, even just fucking a year ago, I just reached a point. I'm like, fuck it. I want my health back. So this is the price sometimes we have to pay for our shitty behavior. Again, I'm the first one to own it. And that's the hard part, is owning our own shit. But we're going to spin around into some of those elements. Ed is the consummate bad grandpa, and we're going to bring him out here, and we're just basically going to squeeze it. Yeah, and listen, I smoke organic tobacco for all the good that it fucking does. Listen, it still destroys the lungs. Anything you smoke destroys the lungs. And that's where I'm at. I need my lung capacity back for my energy levels before I end up as one of those characters, unfortunately, walking around with a goddamn oxygen tank. And I'm not going to do it. My son has read me the riot act. He's right. So I got to be the better wolf. I got to feed the wolf that needs to be fed in this case. So yeah, I am now 2 days into it. So it's a bit weird, but hey, it's okay. I'm going to do it because that's the kind of fucking wolf I am. So as promised, I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm going to throw a track on real quick. And I think I'm going to go to, I'm going to play some Eyes of Odin. They're one of the bands that I've been really digging recently. They've got some new stuff out. They're going to be doing some shows out here in New York later in the year. But this is a track of theirs called Under My Skin. No pun intended to the Under My Skin for Life Foundation. So no correlation. But I like the track. And tonight's going to be, some of the bands and the tracks that I've been following and that I support in between the chaos and the mayhem. So kick back, enjoy a little bit of Eyes of Odin, and then I'm going to be back with fucking Ed Contini, and we're going to go batshit. Yeah. What better way to celebrate 100 episodes of chaos? You know what I'm saying?
Perfect
under my skin a little bit of the Eyes of Odin. Great little band up here in New York. Brother Manny, if you're listening, really dig this sound. Looking forward to hearing more from you guys. Now, unfortunately, right now, I do not have Ed Contini. He's lost in the fucking Contini context somewhere, so I'm just going to have to dance this on my own. And yes, I miss you too, my lovely witch, but yes, you're having a great time. Thank you for rubbing that in. I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you. Happy, happy, joy, joy. But seriously, I'm glad you and Jess are having a great time. Say hi to everybody out there when you do get around to see Mom and Sister Sherry, Brother Jack, anybody and everybody else within the clan that finds their way through. Having been to Texas with her, really great people, really some really great stuff. And then, of course, as you can hear from that little thing, that's my brother Ed. Yes, I'm listening to. What happened? I don't know, man. I tried to call you, didn't fucking answer. So I'm going to call him right now and just put him on the fucking spot. Let's just see if we can do this. Let's try it again. You know, we're going to let it ring. You're actually going to hear it ring. This live fucking podcast.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you're fucking there. See, you weren't there when I needed you,
Frank?
man. What am I, a fucking joke to you? Am I funny?
Frank?
How am I fucking funny to you, man?
Oh, Frank.
Yes, I'm here. But you can't hear me, can you? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hey, my
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can I hear who?
Who, me? What the fuck, man?
Well, you asked me a fucking question. If I can hear me, of course I can hear me.
But can you hear me? Me, as in,
yes, I hear me.
Now you can hear me. You see, you couldn't hear me before when I'm like, what am I, fucking joke to you? And you're just like, hello, hello, hello.
Hello? What the fuck is this?
What kind of production is this? Who wrote this script? I want to know. I want to know now.
Well, that person has since been executed, and by most anything means possible.
Oh man, I love you, brother. We've been joking about this and kind of playing on this. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. So you're basically tonight going to play the part of the bad grandpa, because I think I think to some degrees you do it better. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to walk down the street with your nuts flapping in the breeze or go for the cheap thrills. You've literally got that Jersey edge to you, the fuck around and find out type.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know you had a thing.
I'm a bad grandpa.
Well, no, listen, you're a great grandpa where it counts, but you're a bad grandpa in the sense of, Superfly TNT bad. You know what I mean? It's the Contini context. It's about how words are used.
It is. Well, that's it. Like when Chef, they was singing about Chef, and he's one bad motherfucker, right?
Right.
Now, is he bad or is he a motherfucker? He's probably right. I mean, he probably does both.
I would have to assume that is as well, too, because, again, if we're really going to be honest about language, you know what I mean? It's almost inevitable. You know what I mean? And especially, well, I mean, you're going to be a motherfucker one way or the other, right?
See, that's the thing. Yes. So it is kind of a badge of honor. And especially if somebody calls you a motherfucker, you just simply looked them in the eye and said, I asked you not to tell you, but hey, what the fuck?
Wow. I mean, sometimes things have to be answered for what they are. Now, I know you had I know one of the things that drives you absolutely batshit is what happens when you get in your car and you get on the road and you have to deal with the rest of humanity.
Oh, motherfucker. Yeah. I had a good one yesterday.
I know, and I was just going to set you up. I was like, all right, let me throw him the slow curve over the plate.
You know what, man? I'm going to
take it away.
Fuck out of the park. So yesterday, was the day of, I helped Brian. Brian helped me out. And so we're heading out after I just put a brand new fucking battery in the van, which, by the way, the guy's trying to sell me a $200 battery. I said, stop right there. What the fuck? Give me the cheapest battery because I don't give a shit. I just want something to get this motherfucker going. It's like a million years old. Just fucking give me a cheap ass battery. Yeah, the whole thing came to $145. There goes the cheap part.
I was going to say, you didn't save much, right?
Oh, fuck no, man. But you know what? It's cool. It is what it is. I had the scratch to do the thing, and I did, and it runs fine. But you know what? You can't kill that car. I mean, I say a lot of shit about it, but it's great. But yesterday, we're pulling out of the plaza that I wasted my money on the battery. The other one had 26% life left on it. And first thing I went to was, yeah, I'm going to run right out and buy a fucking electric car whose battery's going to die after 10 years. It cost me 20 grand. Yeah, get right on that. So anyway, I pull out, and I noticed somebody, this is on Chile Avenue in Chile Center, and there's fucking, a Mustang van is behind me coming about 60 miles an hour because, I found out what it was. So it's one of the two genders that exist. It was a female, older lady. But anyway, she pulls up to me, fucking almost hits me from the back. Okay? So what did I do? I slowed the fuck down even more. Made it go around me, and I saw that I probably wouldn't even fuck with her because she was out of her mind. But I did call her a bunch of names, flipped her off, and she cut in front of me to go into Wegmans. So I turned around to Brian and I said, well, must be late for her fucking enema. So he said, you got to, because she's getting her ass reamed somewhere.
Well,
she got a lot
I mean, isn't that part of the new line within Wegmans? I mean, Wegmans has been expanding to service all types of things. So isn't that the new,
yes,
the new enema department?
Cavity, yes.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
Some guy in the back. Yeah, no, they got a guy in the back with a rubber glove who opens up the fucking anal
cavity searches for everybody.
Yeah, just like they do it on dogs. They express the anal glands. Yeah, I got an expression for you if you go near my ass. It ain't going to be good. But anyway, that set me off. That set me the fuck off. Then we had to carry this unusually heavy but beautiful piece of furniture to the new digs. And but I did have a dolly. So we loaded it up and we get to the place, and of course I don't have any straps, to tie it to the dolly when we transport it, or even tie the hood of the car. I'm sorry, the back gate, right? So we slide it in. They give me one fucking extended type of, Brian described it as a shoelace. So I say to him, Brian, you know what's missing from the shoelace here that they gave us? No, what? The eaglet. He said, the fuck is that? That's the tip of the... why would you even fucking think about that? So because it's how my mind works. Anyway, we secured it, got it to his place, got it through some snow, got it all set up, and that wasn't it. But, it was a good night, but I do have trouble with fucking drivers that are just fucking rude and stupid.
Oh, listen, I've been in the car with you. We got stuck behind that interesting... that interesting scenario, two guys who were based...
motorcycles?
Well, yeah, listen, and again, you and I are both very, very much open. We don't begrudge people, their sexuality or how they choose to live their life and that shit. But when you're riding down the road, okay, two of you in Daisy Dukes on a motorcycle with no helmets, literally bebopping the bike as you go along, it's just like you're watching a nightmare, like a train wreck getting ready to happen. And you just...
It's fucking awesome.
We both debated it, and we were like, hey, do we say something? And we were both like, nah, we're older white guys. If we even open our mouths, we're going to look like fucking assholes no matter what we do. So it's just like, all right, fuck them. Let them go kill themselves. And you and I joke about this, and, we... dances with Jid as well too. It's like the Darwin element. We need to bring them back.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Just like if you want to eat a fucking Tide Pod, you know what? Go for it. Do us all a favor.
It'll taste pretty nasty, and as your tongue fucking burns a hole in your tongue and all that shit, you'll realize you made a mistake. Maybe fatal, maybe not, but a painful one. But I really don't give a fuck what people do. Just I don't care what you do. It's up to you.
Unless they're driving in the road or they're breathing your air or you happen to have to go check out in line with them. I mean, there's nothing worse than the stupidity sometimes of, when you're having to deal with people in retail or business situations. It's just like, how many ways do I say cheeseburger and fries? You get that dumb look back, and you're just like, oh, God, please. I just want a fucking cheeseburger and fries. Or the old, suicidal tendency. All I wanted was a Pepsi, and they wouldn't fucking give it to me. You know what I mean?
Listen, I got to tell you, man, that ordering food today, it is not fast food. It's not good food. It's not even fucking lukewarm when you get it home. So you order something. Maybe it gets to you within 5 minutes, maybe 10. Maybe they didn't understand the order and give you something that could not possibly be mistaken for what you wanted. So, sometimes I have to let shit go, because then I realize, Darwin was fucking right. When you have to put a fucking label on something, do not eat the box, there's a real fucking problem.
Listen,
what if you want fiber from cardboard?
Right. I understand putting it on like a medical prescription, say, hey, danger might cause anal leakage. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Don't eat the box.
Well,
I know.
But really, to have to go to the degree of, don't eat the box, don't stick your dick in the blender. It's just like, really? We have to remind folks. But some of it, we joke about it. We people watch.
I know, but people, listen, I'm working on an ambulance, working in the Army as a medic and all this shit. I've seen some pretty incredibly stupid things, and I've seen some pretty wonderful things. But I'm sad. It's sad for me to say that most of the cool shit you get on a Friday night full moon is really fucking horrifying, but it's really cool. It all depends on your perspective. It is the Contini context, and my context in that is 2 words. When somebody's going 120 miles and doing a wheelie on the interstate on a fucking rice rocket, the fucking 2 words I use. Job security, and that refers to that will always. And that's exactly what I made a mistake of that telling Diane that one time, and it brought back some memories of her cousin. But the fact of the matter is, that is surely job security, and you have to look at it dispassionately like that.
Well, sometimes the only way you can look at it, especially when it's horrific, you have to put it into dark comedy, or else it'll just melt your fucking brain and you end up going insane. You know what I mean?
That is a knockout hit, because the fact of the matter is, if you cannot relieve that tension and that stress and that angst and the empathy you feel, you have to unload it somehow. So dark comedy is what I use, and most people I know use. Self-deprecating, dark humor will save you more than anything than you can believe. I mean, even that doesn't help in some certain situations, which I probably could go into, but I don't think I want to, because it is something that is like really, really horrible, and I will keep that to myself.
Well, I do have a couple of questions that I wanted to kind of put to you as an EMT/medic, and the first one, obviously, and I feel pretty confident you can confirm it, but we're going to kind of play a little bit of game of like Mythbusters.
Okay, we will do that.
Yeah. Is it true that when people experience trauma, especially alcohol-related trauma, at least 96% of the time, they will indeed shit themselves?
Well, yeah, they do.
I mean, is 96, is that like, a conservative number?
I haven't counted. Yeah.
You think it's too high? Or too low?
Yeah, that's a little high, but they inevitably piss themselves all the time.
All right, so we can say 100% will piss themselves. So what would we say, 60% chance?
About 65% will take a dump and not even know it for 2 days.
All right, so over 50%, I think we can definitively say yes that we've established that there's a better than average chance that if you have a scenario with alcohol involved, you're going to shit yourself. So your grandmother's, that old thing, make sure that you're wearing clean underwear, really doesn't apply if you shit yourself. It doesn't matter, right?
No, and here's the other thing concerning clean underwear. My mother, wear clean underwear, make sure in case something happens. Everybody's mother said that to them. So I turned around and said, but Mom, I could be wearing the cleanest underwear in the world, and I'm driving down the road, and I get into an accident. My bowels, my sphincter is going to unload whatever I got inside. My underwear is now dirty. But of course, she says, well, they could tell it was clean before you got into that accident. I said, there's the Contini context.
Well, I think you can testify
born there.
to the fact, and let's just call it for what it is. Shitty underwear, shitty underwear. I don't know anybody in their right mind that's going to go looking for empirical evidence that said underwear happened to be clean 45 minutes ago or whatever the case. It's shitty underwear, and it should be treated as such. And I think, listen,
Yes.
you know, this is also where I'm going to segue. That this is where people on different sides of the fence can find middle ground. Like, we can all agree that shitty underwear is shitty underwear. It's a good place to start. You know what I mean? It gives people hope, I think. It gives you hope, right?
Well, I'm going to put it to you this way. I'm going to throw in the Contini context here. There are certain people who have conditions where they will intentionally shit themselves to make their day complete. So we can't necessarily lump them in the category.
You know what? That's an absolutely valid point. And we're not including German Scheiser porn either. There is a market for that. Granted,
well, okay,
it is, you know, it's a German thing, but I've heard that it's making the rounds in, you know, other countries now. I mean, again, have you ever encountered that out on a call? Like, have you ever like wandered into one of those crazy eyes wide shut kind of like freaky deaky sex scenarios where somebody's got like a goat jammed up their ass or, you know, some other horrible?
No, but, you know, it's funny you said that because I was thinking about some of the things that have been, shall we say, placed in an inappropriate place. Coke bottles, G.I. Joes. G.I. Joes and the small action figures were very popular.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
These are the things we need to know. I mean, let's really be honest.
But the worst one is, yeah, but here's the thing. If you shove the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip too far up your fucking anal cavity, it's gonna grip onto something that shouldn't be in his hand and fucking hurt when you extract them.
Okay.
So
well, I mean,
you know, so
there's a fair public warning. You know what I mean?
That is a PSA we should have. Don't.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to do the PETA one right now, and I want to go on record as saying, you know, insertion of any animals, rodents or otherwise, lizards, fish, pretty much anything that has a pulse should not be inserted into an anal cavity. I think it's fair. I think it's something we can all agree on.
But I would agree, but I would have to just say, which PETA are we talking about? PETA 1 or PETA 2?
I don't know. I know we're not talking about PETA bread, and that's all that really matters in this conversation. And it's just for disclosure reasons.
Full disclosure, we're talking about people for ethical treatment of animals or people for eating tasty animals.
I think for the ethical treatment, because I'm not going to eat anything that was jammed in somebody's ass, first and foremost, so I feel pretty safe in taking a stand there. You know what I mean? And again, I just think in fairness, you know, until we really figure out how to communicate with animals, I think they deserve the benefit of the doubt that not one of them is going to consent. Like, again, you and I, if presented, you know, if the old Greek gods came down, you know what I mean? And, you know, one of the lesser ones, like a cyclops or something, came rolling up and he was just like, hey, you know, do you mind if I jam you in my ass for my own sexual pleasure? Most of us are going to answer no. You know what I mean? And we're going to answer definitively that no, we don't want to play this particular game. So I think it's fair to assume that animals don't want to be jammed up anybody's ass.
I would just ask them, well, would you like me to throw some acid in your one eye?
Well, I mean, again, you know, the Contini contest suggests that, you know, you play fucked up games, you win fucked up prizes. So you periodically see, you know, these little weird elements where, you know, somebody tried to do something like they tried to, you know, fuck a Gia monster or some other horrible thing and nature turned against them and ate them from the inside out. And
all kidding aside, you made a really good point, because I just want to just say this, for the poor gerbil population, whoever is doing it, stop shoving gerbils up your ass.
You know, listen, I think that's a fair thing. I don't think that infringes upon anybody's sexuality. There are other things that they're more than welcome to. And, you know, listen, there's a market for it. You know, we want to support small businesses. So, yeah, let's leave the gerbils alone and, you know, let's support the economy. Well, listen, there's a dildo manufacturer somewhere, I'm sure, that could create something, you know, in a gerbil-like form. And, you
See,
could
yeah, that
identify and
probably
play
is
that
badly.
game.
No, but if you want to play the game that will test your mettle, and we'll see if you're as tough by shoving up an animal up your ass. Take the fucking garden hose, don't lube it, shove it up, turn it hot water all the way hot, just live with that for a minute.
That
There you go.
sounds
You
like a
get an
George
animal.
Carlin solution to the problem.
Of course, you know how I grew up. I
Now,
mean,
and again, in all seriousness, this is not to criticize people's choice of sexuality again, unless it crosses
Yeah, what they do.
particular lines. Well, listen, like again, I think some things, you look at NAMBLA, the North American Man Boy Love Association. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to roll that into the same bread as, fucking Nazis or the brown shirts or, Manson and his fucking crew or any number of historical examples of the fucking crazy people. You know what I mean? They're just really, you have to call it out,
man.
You have to call it out.
That's just fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, again, this is one of those bad grandpa moments because I know you're the type, like I am, that, again, fuck around, find out. You're all sweet and innocent. You're a great guy until certain things cross certain particular boundaries. So you
know what? Wolf, you know what my fucking limitations are.
Well, I wanted to talk about them. I know the first and the top crime in your book is to cook scallops in anything within your kitchen.
Fuck that. That's right.
Right. You got serious kitchen rules. You don't fuck around.
I do.
I don't even know where all the bodies are buried at this particular juncture. I don't want to know, but I do know that if you bring scallops into the mix, you're fucking around in the wrong place.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's fucking ocean snot. Who the fuck wants it? I mean, a lot of people eat ocean snot, and I call it like it is. Oysters. It's like a phlegm ball. Who's the first person that opened up a fucking oyster, looked at that slimy snot ball, and said, looks like good food?
I mean, I'm betting some of it was desperation. Like, again, if you use, like, the old, Tom Hanks Castaway analogy, you're on a fucking desert island, you're ready to eat fucking sand, and then, the human condition, but listen, I asked the same question with artificial flavoring, like, who in their right mind got up into, a beaver's asshole to be like, hey, let's market this, and I've used it many times, and I think it's still a great one to go to because it really defines the insanity, the comedy of errors that our species is. That somebody somewhere had this in their fucking head. They made a correlation somehow, and somehow it and it's real. It's not like, again, like, this is, I mean, it's part comedy skit, but it's also like, reality tends to be the most insanely funny aspects of it. You can't even create this shit.
You know what? That's right, though, but you hit it on the head. Now, back in the day, whatever day you want to ascribe that to. So I'll just say the ubiquitously spoken of back in the day, people had to eat. And once fire was, invented because somebody found the fucking Bic lighter that a time traveler left when he was visiting the past.
So, well, they went through that obsidian door. I mean, you know how this is. Yeah,
they did. And they left the lighter, and they, found fire. But then they realized that if they cooked the animal, it tasted much better, and it was. They also knew that they had to use every part of the animal, including the testicles, intestines, all of the organs.
See, now you just said that to trigger me. Do you know that's a trigger of mine?
Yeah.
I mean, again, how do you eat? Like, again, how do you eat the test? I mean, I guess in desperation. Yeah. All right. So we'll chalk it up. We'll move on from that one and say, you know what? It's all, fun and games. We eat the breasts of animals, so we should be accommodating and, get with the times and say, you know what? Sometimes the testicles have to be eaten in a situation. The Contini context says,
I'm going to say one word: avocado. But here now, this is all kidding aside. When I take a primal cut of beef or pork or anything, I actually take a moment, and this is not a joke. I take a moment and I think about it, that this animal sacrificed its life, so it's going to be eaten, and I respect it. I don't make fun of it. I don't, like, I know a lot of people are slapping. They pretend whatever, and I think that's horrific. I think this animal died so I could eat, and I will respect it and show it the honor that it deserves to do that. Okay, that's a part of me that not too many people are familiar with, but I do respect and I honor any animal I eat, whether it's chicken, pork, beef. I don't eat fish, but anything that I eat that was living, a creature, lamb, whatever, I honor it because it's sacrifice that I'm going to eat it. So I do honor that. And I taught my grandkids that, because they were making fun of some poor carcass type, at a primal cut, and they were poking it. And it's a stop. You have to honor this. This is feeding us. Like turkeys especially. People like to fuck with them all the time. I didn't allow that. You have to honor this creature that has given its life up, not voluntarily, by the way, so that we can feed off it. So let's at least respect it. So that's probably the only thing, like, that intense I'm going to say the rest of the show.
Well, I mean, because, I think, again, it's a framework, and, again, all joking aside, the things that we put into our body, we should at least have some semblance of an understanding and a connection, if you will. It's not that so far off the beaten path. Many cultures have done it for countless years and stuff. So it's just your approach. Now, let me ask you something. Does that sometimes entail comedy? Like, I'll be honest. I have done that. I've done that with my son, sometimes when we're cooking and stuff like that. And, I'm sure the people will lose their fucking minds. Like, oh, you heartless. And I'm just like, no, I'm a fucking wolf.
No,
we're having fun with it. And it was just, like venison. I always do the Bambi joke. You know what I mean? I'm just like.
Now, to be honest with you, yes, I think I could find humor in it. But I also said that was a private moment that I do when I prepare an animal. And I taught my grandkids that. But here, you're right, though. I mean, like when I did a whole pig, I roasted a whole pig, and my adult boys, they were afraid it was going to horrify their kids, my grandkids. I looked at them, I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. I said, you guys are the ones who are going to freak out because you're a couple of fucking pussies. You don't like fucking, you don't like that shit. You're afraid of a fucking mouse. You can't go into a room with a snake. Give me a fucking break. So the kids come in and they're all worried they're going to be traumatized. So one of my grandsons goes up to the pig.
Yes, let the bad grandpa shine here.
Yeah, and he's looking at it, and he looks at me, and I kind of just nod, and he grabs the tooth, he's trying to pull the tooth out, and he's saying, this is really cool. Then my one granddaughter, she takes her finger and looks at me. I said, go ahead. She shoves it up his nose and is picking the dead pig's nose. He's trying to pull the teeth out. I looked at the boys. I said, yeah, they're really traumatized, and I walked away. That's reality of life.
Listen, sometimes it's the subtleties of understanding the dynamics, and I get where you're going because I know how you roll, as they say. But a lot of times, and this is kind of in the state of affairs, and it brings us into the other segue in this, is that we seem to have lost the ability to really get with sarcasm, satire, comedy, understanding, the difference between being hateful, hey, you fucking piece of shit, you know what I mean, versus, comedic satire and be like, hey, look at that piece of shit, you know what I mean? And they're the same words, but the Contini context teaches us that it's how you use the fucking words. That context makes all the difference.
I mean, our whole comedic lives over the last 40 years or 50 years, even, let's see, even longer back than that, 60, I'm going to be 69. So way back 70 years ago, comedy was something where you can go and express yourself without hindrance. And it was a form of expression that few people knew how to deliver, but everybody seemed to understand it. It was also a time when culture allowed people to speak freely with the understanding that it is meant as a comedic expression. it is meant as sarcasm. It is meant like All in the Family. Archie Bunker, he was the opposite of what he portrayed on the TV, but they showed us how ridiculous it is. And comedy has changed to where we are getting lessons on why we.
Hey, you're offending me. Hold on, no. You're violating my safe space.
What's that? Your space safe?
You're violating my safe space, man.
Your face. Okay, I'm going to continue to. But the point is, comedy is comedy, man. That's all. That's it. That's it. Fuck it, man.
And yes, boys and girls, that was satirical. Listen, I understand an analogy, and
it was.
You and I both know if somebody's coming out with some really fucked up, hateful type of shit that's inappropriate.
There's a difference.
There's a difference, right? And people have the right to say, hey, listen, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not cool with it. So, you either change the dial, you get up and walk away. You know what I mean? And I understand, sometimes people feel the need to inject their personal opinions, but so much of this now is being driven from just, let's be honest, ridiculous rhetoric that doesn't reflect the majority. It's, it's one person over here. Oh, yeah. It's just like, oh, you know what I mean? Or, that person over there. It's like, oh, and it's just like, what the fuck, man? This is comedy. You know what I mean?
But you see, we do have too many people that have lost the ability to understand sarcasm and comedy. Now, if I had, where I grew up, I know where you grew up.
Yeah, it's a Jersey thing.
Yeah, it is a Jersey thing. I mean, it's like the thing is, I know I grew up in a city and as a tenement, and if you didn't have thick skin, don't go out the fucking door. And I would say, Mom, somebody said this, like sticks and stones will break you. Well, she gave me that, and it sounds really easy. But here's the thing: if you really wanted to survive and thrive, not just survive but thrive, you had to learn how to develop a thick skin, but you also had to learn how, when you're getting bullied, to respond accordingly. And we learned that. Now, today, I don't even know what I hate bullies more than you could imagine. But there comes a time when you have to face that without, I don't know, you have to face it head on or you'll never get over it. Seriously.
The comedy of errors here is that we become so oversensitive to reactionary elements that it tends to distort everything else around it, and again, sometimes the only defense against the madness is to put it into a comedic light. Otherwise, it becomes too heavy. It becomes, it's like radiation, you know what I mean? Or cocaine. You have to cut it. You can't snort it pure or it'll fucking kill you. You know what I mean? So, to some degree, well, listen, it's the lesser of two fucking evils. It's not always perfect because we as a species are imperfect. One of the things that you and I also, and Brian and, Attivia and everybody, Diane, Danny, Amy, we have these really wild, conversations a lot of times about, the frameworks of magic and how it translates and compares against, dynamics of religion or dynamics of this, that, and the other thing. And you and I are of the same mind that these are just, again, distortions on words. A lot of us, have pagan, quote unquote, tendencies. We tend to look at things in a more pure manner versus the constructed bullshit that the powers that be want to shove down everybody's fucking throats. I use the George Carlin analogy, but there's a lot of examples of it that, really do apply. But the comedic aspect of it, again, I'll always use like the magic underwear analogy. Somebody somewhere, came up with that shit, and then somehow Jesus Christ came into play. And then, everyone else is standing around like, okay, well, I guess that we have to accept it. Like, where did we lose the ability to be like, nah, man, that's fucking crazy. And you got to go sit at the little table and shut the fuck up while the rest of us adults here handle what needs to be done.
Yeah, for me, I was raised Catholic and I had ups and downs, but what I could never I questioned everything, and I still do. But I was had never been able to be coerced into doing something that I truly didn't want to. Now, don't get me wrong. I think whatever anybody does to assuage their feelings, to reduce guilt, to just feel happy, whatever you're doing, God bless you. But for me, I have independently thought, I have an independence in that area that I will believe what I want to believe. And I don't follow the fucking, the Pied Piper. I'm one of those people that just don't follow the crowd because somebody says it's the right thing to do. Now, I'll just touch briefly on this. I do believe that there's good and evil, and there are forces that control both. I understand that. But I also understand that in my short life, and don't forget, we're very short-lived human beings, I could never have committed enough atrocities to warrant an eternity of fire and brimstone. So for me, that I questioned that all the time. And I used to, it wasn't taken very easily. And now I know all of my friends that I went to school with, we all have our beliefs, but we always had an independent streak. So yeah, I know when I die, I really believe I'm energy, and I'll go hopefully come back into something like the fainting goat, which are really cool fucking things, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's a new one. I've never heard that one. You know what? You're a funny guy. You really are. You
funny how?
Well,
no, funny how?
Funny like how you just, like you told the story,
do I
man.
make you laugh?
Yeah,
Cool. Do I make you laugh?
You just, it's funny, man.
I make you laugh. It's funny.
Yeah, no,
I'm funny like a fucking clown.
Like it's not
a fucking clown.
It's not
emotional damage.
It's like that.
Yeah, that's it's like who's on first? The fuck the one. See, that's where I would answer something like that. Who's on first? The fuck are you talking to me for? First time I moved up into Rochester.
That's how you open up a conversation. I love that. Somebody walks up to you. All they wanted was the time, and it's like, why the fuck are you talking to me?
I did that. I mean, I was so angry when I moved up here. Fucking guy just tried to be nice. Hey, have a good day. The fuck you telling me how to have my day? How do you know I'm not having a good day? The fuck who the fuck are you to tell me what kind of day to have?
Listen, I told the story, and you've heard it when Shai and I, went on our first date and stuff, and, we had stopped at a 7-Eleven over on Park Avenue, and, this guy, I mean, listen, you know me, I call certain things for what they are. I don't know any other way. But this guy had the vibe of like a tweaker, of a junkie that was like, 2 hours late for their fix. And all my instincts were like, this is the kind of guy that, grabs somebody's purse and then, runs for the nearest fucking crack house. And Shai is all love and light. She's like, hi, how you doing? You give him a hug and stuff. And my mind is literally melting like, oh my God.
Yes.
How am I going to fucking handle this? This is going to go sideways. And in my brain, I literally was kind of like semi-locked and loaded. I was just like, okay, if I stand right here and the trajectory of a right hook, if I see that hand go for her purse, and I will fully admit it. I was loaded up. I was ready to swing. You know what I mean? Yeah. If he had tried to take 2 steps away, and I was wrong. Again, I'll own it. He actually worked at 7-Eleven. I don't know what that fucking actually says about the state of affairs of things. But, I know that, to some degrees, we have, conditioning element. And again, not to, again, make light of the dynamic that, we shouldn't have to walk around be on edge. You know what I mean? In our communities and stuff like that. But to some degree, we almost can't afford not to be, because it is the lesser two evils. So, you have to throw a fucking comedic spin on it to some degrees and just be like, okay, well, it's another day in hell, and let's roll the dice. And yes, here we go. Purse snatching for 400, Alex. And hope that, you don't get knocked out in the fucking first round. But there's a lot of good things in it. Let's talk, let's you know what? Let's segue. Let's do a music track real quick, and then we'll come back. We'll continue the comedy of errors, and we'll swing into some more positive comedy without anything being jammed in anybody's ass or anything like that.
Well, yeah, I know, but I got a good story when you come back about Baltimore. But
okay, no, that sounds good. I'm gonna kick out some Annika, the Father Time trilogy. It's a real cool track, one of my favorites of theirs. They got a new album coming out, couple days.
Cool.
Check them out online, everybody. Annika, and then Ed and I will be back. So hang in there.
For the time, the lessons that I've learned, the lesions that I've earned were so unkind, so unkind. Feeding mind, the forces that decide in your heads reside. You're so divine, so divine. Wasted time. All mine, forsaken by my father time. unkind, so unkind, feeding mind. The forces that decide in your heads reside. You're so divine, so divine. Wasted time. The heartache that you stir, the faith that you burned, it was all mine, all mine. Forsaken by my father time.
To believe your own thought, to believe that what is true for you and your private heart is true for all men, that is genius. Speak your latent conviction and it shall be the universal sense. For boys, the inmost becomes the outmost, and our first thought is rendered back to us by the trumpets of the last judgment. Familiar as the voice of the mind is to each, the highest merit we ascribe to Moses, Plato, and Milton is that they set at naught books and traditions and spoke not what men, but what they thought. Man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within, more than the luster of the firmament of bards and sages. Yet, he dismisses without notice his thought, because it is his. In every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with a certain alienated majesty. They teach us to abide by our spontaneous impression with good humor and flexibility, then most when the whole cry of voices is on the other side. Else tomorrow, a stranger will say, with masterly good sense, precisely what we have thought and felt all the time. And we shall be forced to take with shame our own opinion from another. Bravely let him speak the utmost syllable of his confession. We but half express ourselves and are ashamed of that divine idea which each of us represents. But God will not have his work made manifest by cowards. Good night.
So yeah, that was a really cool track from Monica, the Father Time trilogy. It was a tribute to the Ultimate Warrior. Pete Palace wrote. He talked about it when I had him on the show. I'm going to have them back again after the new album drops. They're going to have a record.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, listen, they got a record release party going on in Brooklyn coming up this weekend and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I can't get out to it. We can't get out to it with our commitments and stuff.
Yeah, I would love to, but it's... Yeah.
Well, listen, that's what we do with the radio station. You know, we support the bands that we can. Granted, we can't support everybody all the time, but we're trying to incorporate more between all of our shows and producing stuff. You know what I mean? So as much as three guys can do, you know, to some degree, it's like, well, you know, I don't see anybody else. You know, and that's not to take a shot at anybody. I love everybody over the station. Everybody's got their own priorities, the things they do, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, we walk a different path.
Oh, yeah. And that's okay. I mean,
listen,
that's what it is. It is what it is.
Exactly, it is what it is. Now, you got a story, you said, a Baltimore story. All right, so hit me with the Baltimore story.
Okay, so I was doing some work down there. I lived down there for quite a while, and I became familiar with Fells Point. And there's a tavern, or a saloon there, that was featured on The Wire, the HBO series. And that was where all of the interior bar scenes were shot there. And in The Wire, it was a lesbian bar. So this was a bar, like, it was a pretty cool bar. But anyway, I had this taxi, a water taxi pass that, because I was doing work down there for $5, you can ride the Inner Harbor, a week at a time with that $5 pass. So it worked out. So one night I'm going to Fells Point to get some pizza, and I'm eating. I'm done. I'm walking down because the Fells Point is a really cool spot. It's like a hot spot. It used to be anyway. don't know what it is now. So I'm watching people are getting harassed by this guy who's like coming up to me very aggressively, coming up to people and demanding money to put in his cup, and I'm thinking, oh, geez, here we go. Hold my fucking beer. So the dude comes up to me, hey, man, I know you got some money. Why don't you give me some money? Put it in the cup. And I look at him. I said, you know what? Thank you. And he looked at me. I reached into his fucking cup and took all of the fucking money out that he had and put it in my pocket. And as I walked away, I says, have a good day. The fucking guy didn't know whether to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, listen, sometimes, you have to go outside the box in a response. I mean, don't get me wrong. Not all things are always equal. Somebody somewhere and being like, oh, what if he was a crazy bastard with a knife or a gun? You would have got your ass shot. But I know you would have probably, you probably would have jammed said knife or a gun up their ass, and you would have been, you would have ended up with a manslaughter charge for, killing a fucking wino over, $7.38.
Yeah, I mean, I just was thinking, you know what? I'm watching all these people afraid of him. And I thought it was funny, and the people saw it, and they laughed and shit, and he fucking just walked away. Could have gone south, but you know what? At that moment, guess who didn't give a rat's ass? Not bravery, stupidity. That was stupidity, but I would do it again.
But fortune favors the bold. And listen, sometimes there has to be a moment. Like I saw something similar to that, but a little bit more of a, I guess you could say, a dangerous scenario. And, it was on the subway coming back from Madison Square Garden after a show, and a lot of people were fucked up. They were drunk. They were, this, on that. So you inevitably have the worst behavior of humanity all crammed into, fucking cars, trying to get back to, wherever it is. And I forget where the fuck we were going someplace, I think on the Upper West Side or some shit. I don't even, but we were on it. And some of the drunken idiots decide to start, harassing a girl. And she kept telling them that, hey, I got a boyfriend. You don't want to do this. I got a boyfriend. You don't want to do this. And they were all, talking this shit, blah, blah, blah. And, they were getting a little touchy, which, again, was inappropriate. Well, lo and behold, boyfriend showed back up from the other car and just proceeded to mop these two idiots. I mean, an ass whooping. Listen, there's nothing quite like, when you're, 15, 20 feet away from an honest to good ass whooping. That's why people like, it's the old Coliseum analogy. You know what I mean? It's just the smell of, you know what I mean? But, they had it coming, and, who knows to what degree they may have continued to escalate that. And, we see and hear about it all the time. This guy wasn't having none of it. It reached a particular point, and then that was it, and you start talking shit, especially alcohol-induced shit. Sometimes an ass whooping is the correct remedy. Now, again, the powers that be, and let's, throw the disclaimer, we're not advocating violence, but we do have this little thing, again, this right to defend and protect ourselves within reason. But, sometimes, again, if the ass whooping fits, and that was an analogy we grew up with. You know what I mean? We grew up with the dynamic that, if you fucked up, you were going to catch an ass whooping. It was a real thing. Right.
And guess what? You probably wouldn't be that stupid again. So you might have been a learning. Well, I called it a learning moment.
I mean, sometimes some people, the Contini context is filled. Like I know guys like I know this guy when we grew up. My mother will remember him, and I'll just say he'd lived behind us, and he was of Italian descent as well too. Because I don't want to be that asshole and like forever shame this guy on the fucking internet. Yeah. Because, listen, he and I were actually friends, but, he was one of those guys, let's call it for what it is. He was one of those guys, you add alcohol, and he was going to fuck up. And
Yeah,
a lot of us, listen, I inevitably ended up falling into that same trap, add alcohol to me, and there was something that was going to go wrong somewhere, somehow. But
yeah, there's that lit fuse.
you remember Seaside Heights back in the day.
Oh,
okay.
Fuck yeah.
So,
I
we're
lived there.
fucking hammered, just rolling around, Seaside Heights.
Yep.
And he decides to dance with the Seaside Heights rent-a-cops. And let me tell you, man, they beat and it was comical because he was so fucked up that the more that he was beaten, it seemed like the more assholery he became. Like it was just like they would hit him and he would just be like, "Oh, I fucked your mother. Oh, I fucked your father." And it was just like, it was surreal watching this guy get his ass beat, and he didn't know when to stop. Now, I know that probably sounds horrible, but you have to, if you lived in the late 80s down the Jersey Shore, it was a whole nother reality. It was before the phony Jersey Shore people showed up and turned it into, what it was. Yeah, it was a completely different element where you actually had real pizza and clean beaches, but, hey, that's a distant memory.
That show pissed me off.
Listen, but this is happening everywhere. We went to New Orleans. I saw the same fucking thing. I talked to people all over the place. This is the simple analogy. We don't clean up our mess, man. So we're fucking up shit around us. And then people act all confused. Why is the air make me cough? It's like, well, because, you got 20 billion fucking people shitting in it. So,
just saying.
Good times, hey,
The old Seaside days. I used to have to work two jobs, and I was working as a bouncer in a country western bar, and I was work Friday night and Saturday night. This was in Baltimore County, and off Route 40. This place was a country place. Okay, and a lot of professional bull riders, and there was fights every weekend, which is fine. But one day, this guy comes around, and he's really drunk, and he's giving a lot of problems. So I'm kind of escorting him out, and he's giving me a hard time, and I'm just explaining to him that he has to leave. So then a Baltimore City cop rolls up. He gets out, and he comes over. Is everything okay? I said, yeah, this guy just got to go. I mean, he's been harassing all of the girls, and I've asked him to leave, and he'll go. And he says, no, I won't. And the cop says, listen, man, you got to leave. So he starts walking away. He says, the cop says to me, I'm going to stick around a few minutes. I said, yeah, he's coming back. So what he's doing, he went behind the building. He started walking away to turn, to go around the building and come back up from a different direction. He comes up trying to get in. I stop him. Cop says, I thought I told you to leave. He says to the cop, fuck you, and hits him, punches him in the chest with a chest protector. He's got it. And I just shake my head because I know what's coming next.
Oh, the ass whooping. The ass whooping has arrived.
Oh, it was like this. He took his flashlight and fucking whacked him in his forehead. And the guy just stood there. And I'm thinking, because I've seen shit like this as working on the streets as an EMT. A line appeared on his forehead, and it just was a red line. And it started bleeding down his face. So the cop grabs him, and he's taken him to the cop car. He's fighting with him, but he throws him in the cop car, and then he looks at his seats, fucking filled with blood. He says, you motherfucker. And he starts beating him, not with his club, just slapping him around, not hurting him real bad. Well, I mean, this guy was just so stupid.
Listen, I mean, some things are what they are. I've seen it on both ends of the spectrum, as you have. It's based, again, the Contini context also shows us that it's based on the individual. So, you have bad people everywhere doing bad shit. Some of them have badges. Some of them wear aprons. Some of them wear golden underwear. You know what I'm saying? Some of them are making your pizza right now. Some of them are fucking somebody's mother somewhere right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is the world we live in. I see my sister Heather Salome, the vampire witch, has floated into the darkness. And my mother put a comment in the chat that I have to respond to. No, you're thinking of somebody else. I'm not actually talking about that. I'm talking about car crash split in two. See, I don't listen. I'll give you a call after the fucking show, man. I'll tell you.
Okay.
Listen. Here's the side story. You'll get a kick out of this. Okay, in my you know how like in most families and neighborhoods, it's the father who is the feared individual. He is, the token of masculinity, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Not in my town, okay? It was the women for the most part, except for like one crazy motherfucker that was like out down back and shit. But he ended up fucking up his life anyway, so he was really kind of, just another one of those examples that, as long as he could bully on somebody, but my father and others really just, again, did not stand anywhere near. Like my mother was known for going after people with like bats and tire irons and stuff if they fucked with any of the kids or stuff, especially like my sisters. Like anybody that went sniffing around my sisters when they're near, my mother would go absolutely fucking batshit. And also other analogies of things that would, sometimes go down, in the neighborhood. And listen, I'll be the first one to admit, I caught some ass whoopings. I did some stupid shit in the day. I was fucking very much rebellious, had a really problematic relationship with my father. And, unfortunately, those dynamics led to, and you and I both know the pattern, when you come from a long line of alcoholics and violence,
Stuff.
Batman usually shows up at the wrong time, you know what I mean? And there were a few times I forgot the bat suit, so, kind of standing there hanging in the breeze, looking stupid with blood all over your face. It really doesn't look good on the resume. It just doesn't. So
no, it does not. And the thing is, unless you're witnessing the crime, it's not.
There's a public service dynamic in it. Like, again, toxic masculinity is not something that should be embraced. It's not something that should be celebrated. We talk about things in very specific contexts in defending people we love, not in being an abusive piece of shit.
There's a big difference.
Right. Like you and I both have, and we agree on that, that people that act in that particular narrative, there is zero justification for. You know what I mean? There is no quarter in that element. It should not be tolerated, but we also know it's learned behavior. So we take a comedic approach to it to try and shine a bit of a light on it and say, hey guys, you don't have to give up your masculinity, but come on, evolve with us. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have certain rules that I abide by in my personal life regarding, I don't lift my hand against anybody. The only way for me to do that was to put my family in jeopardy. And you know me.
Yeah.
And that's, I can.
That's why I wanted to qualify it for what it was. Because, listen, this is part of the problem that we talked about. Shit gets lost in context. So, people will take a narrative from this or from that. Many times these days now, it is from the political element, and full disclosure, you and I are, we agree on a lot of stuff, but you tend to lean a little bit right and I tend to lean a little bit left. But we find the middle ground on more things than not, and we respect each other.
Because it exists. Well, you see, because it exists.
Here is the solution. We can find middle ground again. We can stop allowing the powers that be to fuck us up. And and it brings me to the graphic that I want to switch up, because I want to start a new trend. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna need your help on this.
Okay.
And I think this might be the solution, because I don't trust either of these fucking assholes on the other side. So I don't know if you're watching it. I'm thinking.
No, I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
I'm saying we make Jeff Bridges president. Lebowski, 2024. This aggression will not stand, man. Yeah. All right, somebody that everybody can just fucking get together on, that isn't a complete fucking lunatic or is 100-year-old pedophile or a fucking suntan used car salesman or a fucking clown or a fucking pod person. Golden underwear. I don't give up. Like, they all got it. Like, they gotta go, man.
I like that.
They got to
Well,
go.
I grew up in the beginning of all of this shit that started. I mean, I was born in 55, so I've seen everything at the age where I can remember, I could recall, which is the same thing as remembering, but where I could find concepts through it, context through it. I could look at all of the different things going around me and come to my conclusions that are not always right, but they're not always wrong. You see, so today we have tended to censor debate, because instead of debate, we shout. Now, here's the one thing I learned years ago. Once you enter in a debate, and I use that in a kind of a sarcastic way because it really doesn't exist.
Well, in the Contini context now, right? Who knows what the fuck is what anymore? But please continue.
Well, that's true. But once you're in that debate and your opposite, I don't want to say opponent, because a debate is not an opponent. It is two people who are going to discuss and debate a subject and try to think it through logically. Once your counterpart starts yelling and shouting or talking over you, he's lost. However, within the Contini context now, the way things are, that's not always the case.
No, who can scream the loudest now?
Yes, and that is so antithetical, whatever I'm trying to say, antithetical to what we are looking for. It has become common. It has come to the point where supposedly educated people, and I don't trust the education system anymore because of a couple of different things. I don't trust journalism anymore because of a couple of things, because of the things I've seen that have been twisted and turned into ideology, which is never a good thing. You don't debate facts anymore. As you said, you win by yelling louder. Well, I don't have the loudest voice anymore. So I don't even know what to think. All I know is that I will continue to watch, observe, and, base everything I do on. I gotta go for a second here. I gotta walk in the other room. I'm coming, honey. I've got to think about what I need to, what is right or wrong. I don't.
Well, I'll use the analogy of your show, and one of the elements that you use within your theme is giving a voice to those who don't have a voice, that we have a lot of things. You talk about elements about senior citizens or veterans or, kids with autism, the things that are reflective of what's going on. But we also use the comedy to bring better attention to, some of the shittier elements that we shouldn't be tolerating. You know what I mean? And again, you always have the context of, well, depending upon how you look at a thing, but, some things are what they are. A duck is a duck is a duck is a duck. I have this thing, if you remember, I told you about. I'm gonna read this because this is one of the things that's got my head fucking spinning. And this happens this is happening in our sister city of Rochester, Minnesota. Now, full disclosure, I reached out to ABC 6 News over there as through WRFZ to try and get them to, have a little bit more information, and they just completely blew it off. They're like, oh, the original author of the story is no longer with us. Go over here and blah, blah, blah. They didn't want to fucking have any conversation at all, which, again, I suppose it's not surprising from, commercial media elements. But here is what is out there. And basically, long story short, the council board for the city of Rochester, Minnesota, last year censored one of their council members who's basically just been off the wall, quote unquote. And the tagline, she's now suing them because, according to her ADHD, which she claims now is part of the American with Disabilities Act, for displaying symptoms of the condition involving, quote unquote, a short attention span and difficulty with linear processing. Now, when I read this, my mind immediately exploded like, what the fuck are we talking about? So I dug a little bit deeper, as you know I am prone to do. So I went in and I started looking at the archived video footage from the council meetings. And basically this woman's on medication, obviously has some issues and things like that. And it's been an ongoing dance within the council that, you know, they can't seem to get things done. She's belligerent. She's confrontational. But her flip around is like, well, I have this disability, ADHD, which basically makes me act like a fucking asshole, was my translation. And I'm saying to myself, I don't think that the American Disabilities Act was ever designed to just define, you know, shitty behavior. Like now all of a sudden ADHD is just something that people can just pluck out of the sky. They can go online to an internet doctor and be like, well, your symptoms sound like, oh, okay, here I go. Let me sue you now because you violated my rights to just act like a fucking lunatic. You know, and I understand, I know too many people that struggle with things like this that are legitimate. You see where I'm going?
You know what? That's the problem.
And then to have, you know, somebody just use it to justify acting like a fucking asshole, like the ability not to pay attention. And I understand there's like debate about linear thinking and lateral thinking and blah, blah, blah. But it's just like, if you can't add numbers together, you shouldn't be doing, you know, it's like asking a fucking, you know, it's like asking a cat to perform heart surgery. I mean, in what reality do we expect that this is going to end well for anybody? I'm sorry. You know, it's just like, I don't want to tell people you can't be a part of. But I mean, again, and you know, here's the interesting thing. You know, you go and you look at the public record of it, and it's very obvious. Like you can see she's talking about, you know, like I'm having a hard time talking because of my medications making my mouth kind of, you know, dry and fuck. And I would just like, holy shit. Heather's like, hey, you mean she's like, oh shit, you mean I can be an asshole all the time now? Damn, wonders where she can get a card or something for her wallet. Because she actually, the same thing. Because she actually really struggles with these elements, as does Shia, as do a lot of people that we know in whatever degree of the spectrum.
That. Yeah, that to me is, it is diluting the reality of things people face legitimately. And it starts to make people think, wow, that's fucked up. So maybe I won't pay attention to the next one who cries wolf. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, it completely removes any real depth to the dynamic. So, you know, people who legitimately, honestly are struggling with these issues now have to fight, you know, this curve. I look at it in the same way like what Kim Kardashian did to, you know, reality TV. It's just like, you know, unfortunately for women, unless you go blow an NBA player, you're just not going to be able to compete at their level. So it's a ridiculous, fucked up standard now that's been put into play because somebody turned a profit on a blowjob well out of the range that anybody else in the sex industry is getting. So, you know, we got it in balance. But in the same analogy, to use it to justify dynamics, again, if you're going to represent people on a council, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm not saying that people who have particular elements of this, that, or anything aren't capable, that they shouldn't be given the opportunity. However, if you can't control your shit, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you wouldn't have somebody with, you know, really, really bad, fucked up Tourette's, okay, doing, you know, the early morning Sunday prayer worship, you know, for fear that
that would be interesting.
Well, you know what I mean? You know, they're going to be like, oh, holy cocksucker, you know what I mean? And you just, and I know it's probably fucked up. It was the best my mind could draw on the spot, or listen, it would be like the same thing of, it would be like putting Michael J. Fox in charge of an airliner. You know what I mean? And I hate to say it, fucking twitching with the controls at 20,000 feet with people's lives. You know what I mean? It's an unrealistic expectation. But you're not Michael J. Fox. And listen, all props to him. He came out recently, and let me tell you, it was horrible watching him have to struggle. It was the same analogy with Muhammad Ali and others and stuff. It's an absolutely horrific disease. Hard to see. Yeah. But listen, he's still got comedy in him. You could see it, man. It was so fucking inspiring that despite what he's going through and where he's at, he's holding on to the comedy. He knows it's the best defense that he has against the bullshit. And, he was always a consummate, comic at heart. So yeah, he's got the comedy on his side, and I think he would appreciate and sanction that joke, because I don't think he expects anybody wants to get into a plane that he's going to fly unless they want to go meet Jesus in the golden underwear. You know what I'm saying? It might be that kind of flight.
Yeah, man, I should do that intentionally. What to fly people around when they piss me off. So.
Yeah, no, listen, we need you more than we don't need you. You know what I mean? When somebody has to be the bad grandpa, and you do it well.
Oh, I'm killing it, man. You know what? I got a new hobby, Frank.
Uh-oh.
Didn't tell you about this, my buddy.
I'm afraid, man. Hit me.
Well, what I've been doing, I've been researching, and I go out in the morning, I drive around, and I see where most people have to go to get to the expressway to get to work. Now, bear with me, keeping in mind that nobody ever leaves on time, because they all know that they're going to make it on time, but they're going to have another cup of coffee or whatever they're going to have before they go to work. So once I've established the clearest routes, I can take my vehicle and drive 30 miles an hour and not exceed that speed limit, and on a road that they won't be able to go around me, and see how many people are late for work.
Wow, you're taking retirement way too seriously, brother. Way too seriously.
I gotta have a hobby, right?
Yeah. Listen, I know Jude. If Jude is listening out there, he's gonna have words with you because he knows, how dangerous all this anger that you carry.
When he works at home, so he doesn't have to worry about that shit.
Yeah, he's got that long commute, right?
Yeah, he's okay. He don't have to worry about that. Why would I do that? Tell me, Frank. You know me, brother. Why would I do that?
Well, listen, I mean, again, I think to some degrees it's to counterbalance from, going to worser places. Because let's be honest, you know what I mean? To some degree. No, listen, Contini contest suggests to us that, this could be, again, translated as a public service that you are providing.
Thank you.
To teach people patience and tolerance. Okay, A. And for those who don't believe in patience and tolerance, be like, well, maybe you need to fucking leave earlier for work so you won't be fucking late, stupid.
There you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, either way you slice that, it is providing a service.
Yeah.
It may not be a service that people want at a particular moment, but, teaching moments, the universe rarely tends to give a shit about what we want. It's the same analogy when a tornado comes and blows your trailer park away and reminds you that, it was probably not a good idea that you didn't have home insurance.
Well, what they do now is the weather forecaster will, a week before the event, will go to the trailer park and put a big X on the roof. And those are the ones that will be taken away.
And that, boys and girls, was brought to you by Acme Incorporated.
It was. At the Roadrunner and...
but I mean, again, the universe doesn't give a shit. The old joke is, and we were raised with the analogy that most of driving is defensive. Being able to react situationally to the stupidity that is around you. It's an old lady backing out of a bush at 90 miles an hour. It's a couple of Kia boys on a joyride from hell. You know what I mean? It's somebody from, Uganda who, unfortunately has never been in a motor vehicle, but played GTA for a couple of years. So how difficult could it really be?
Yeah,
And that's not
I
to
mean,
take,
you gotta.
that's not to take a shot at any of the Ugandan knuckle brothers out there. Know that I love you truly. It was just, again, when you're doing improv, sometimes whatever comes to your mind. I had to pick a country where it was plausible to say, hey, maybe you've never actually been in a physical fucking car. Uganda, I think, is a place that is theoretically possible, as in other parts of Africa. I could have easily just said Paraguay in South America in some fucking, snake-infested jungle where no white man has gone before. The analogy would have still held.
There's still places like that.
Thank God that there are, man. Somebody's got to stop. Somebody has to stop the white man. Somebody has to do it. You know it. I know it.
I don't even know if I'm white. I got to do my DNA because if I'm not, I'm going to use every advantage I didn't have growing up. Because
I think Diane will testify that you're only white on the outside, man.
Yeah, I'm fucking dark inside, man.
You are a dark motherfucker.
I can be. I mean, and only a lot of this history and stuff that I do. I'm still a pain in the ass to watch TV with, because from watching a show that does anything wrong whatsoever, I am on lockdown with my mouth. I mean, I was warned 3 times yesterday, because again, being an author, I know the power of words, and there was, I think, what was it, Benjamin Franklin who said the pen is mightier than the sword. I don't know if it's him, but it sounds like something was said. But that is true.
But you're on the right mark. But again, this was, and this is one of the things, to switch it into a quick serious note before we jump to a music break. That we used to have at least a common ground, that there were rules, there was code of conduct, honor, if you will, within framework of how things were played out. Now, again, you can make any number of examples. I always like going to Church of England, because Church of England's real easy. Henry VIII, but just like, I need to get rid of my fucking wife because I want to fuck somebody else. Fuck it. I'm the church. Have a nice day. Then everything else from there was pretty much, born out of, well, if I can be God, well, you can be God too. And then, the magic underwear showed up, and, the rest is history.
You mentioned Uganda. Now,
okay, so we're going back to Uganda.
Just real quick, because
go for it.
There's a correlation here. Idi Amin, he declared himself a god, basically, there. And Henry VIII got rid of his wife, and he got rid of one of his many wives by having her head cut off and her arms and legs cut off and then sewed on backwards.
Yeah, well, Edie was that kind of guy. He wasn't exactly, he didn't play well with others. And, listen,
he did not.
Again, you have to put him into the category of kind of, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's no answer for that. That's just a
no, it's the mouth of madness. You know what I mean? You can make several analogies, throughout history. You look at a guy like a Charlie Manson, a Jeffrey Dahmer, on the one end of the, completely out of their fucking mind.
Seasonings he used. Yeah, I know. That's just, there exists, and I think I prefaced it before earlier, that there is good and evil.
There's evil.
And it lives. Here's the other thing. You cannot have one without the other.
Truly said. They are flip sides of the coin. I think they reflect the spectrum of what we are capable of, but also to the degrees, what we're capable of, man. And, it can be incredibly beautiful. It can be, incredibly horrible. Great note to... No, go ahead. Hit me.
There are very few people who wake up in the morning thinking, well, I'm going to kidnap and brutally murder somebody, or I'm just going to run somebody over. I'm just going to do this, do that. Notice I didn't say nobody, because there are people that do that. And thankfully, there's not as many as there could be. I don't ever want to see, that happen. But when good exists, evil exists. And right now, there's a A lot of trouble going on. But
I mean, I think George Carlin had at least an idea in the context that we just build a big wall around Kansas and throw all the fucked up people in there and give them weapons and put it on pay-per-view and just see how it all plays out.
Kansas is nice, man. I mean, Kansas is a nice
Kansas
state.
will be nice again. Just think, the earth will soak in the blood of stupidity, and it will. The land will be reborn.
Yeah, we could also send them to British Columbia up in the mountains where they won't survive.
They don't want to deal with that up there. They're off the grid. They're like, fuck that. We don't want to get involved in this stupid shit.
Yeah, no.
It's the same analogy. That's why Avalon hasn't really come. That's why people have to go to Avalon. Avalon's not going to come back out because you're all too fucked up. You're not ready for it. To some degree, some of this shit, and you and I both know this is the true comedy of errors. We're going to have to go down some fucked up paths to, actually really get it right. Listen, we got Judah in the audience. He's like bringing his own little piece of trivia. And this is what Judah brought to the party. Quote unquote.
I can't see it, so let's say.
I'm going to translate it to you. Amin practiced cannibalism. So that's what Judah brought to the party.
Amin?
Yeah, Idi Amin. And he's actually correct. He is correct in that. He believed in some of the old ritual aspects, that when you consume the flesh of your enemy, you're consuming their soul, basically taking their power.
And that's why a lot of people back when photography was invented would not have their picture taken because they thought it was their soul being removed.
Now, Sister Heather does that, but in a much more pleasant kind of way that doesn't require you to bleed out and die. I'm just saying, if you're into that kind of thing,
the easy way.
She's the person, the vampire witch is the person to hook up with. She's got that shit down. I vouch for her. But thank you, Judah. Brian Judah showing up, bringing cannibalism to the party. That was fucking great. That was great. It was like literally we're all like having a party. We're hanging out. It's like you know what I mean? And Judah walked in the door with Idi Amin. And she was like, no, he really hates him. Yeah, man, we know that. But the reasons why, at least from what I read of the documentation, you're absolutely right. We are making a joke out of it, but you are absolutely correct.
It's funny.
I was talking about the rationale as to why, they did some, or at least that's what they said. I guess, listen, there is a case to be made, not unlike the guy who licked a fucking beaver's asshole and discovered artificial play break, that you may want, people cover that shit up. They don't want to be like, okay, well, I was eating people because it was tasty and I like the taste of a fresh dick, you know what I mean, as an analogy. So maybe the narrative was, well, he did it for spiritual and religious reasons. Kind of looks better on the resume. Like you're Idi Amin, you need to get a job at Walmart, so you got to put something on the resume to get it through.
Cannibalism can be thought of as the ultimate compliment if it's in a warrior versus warrior setting. If you drink the blood of your enemy in battle, you killed him, and you eat
that pops up in a lot of different cultures historically. Yeah. The Aztecs and the Mayans were fucking heavy on that blood shit.
Oh yeah, but it also the Bloods and the Crips in California practiced that too, right? That's what I heard.
I don't know, like my literal last exposure to any of the gang shit was a South Park episode where Timmy and Jimmy join the Crips, and they basically go and wipe out a bunch of Bloods and get into the gang and shit. And they're joking. They bring marshmallows and ginger ale to the party. They're like South Park for me is one of those great social fuck you moments. Sometimes it's just completely off the wall and you just have to look at it like, all right, the Pope is really a rabbit. I don't know. Somebody was really fucked up when that particular idea came out. But some of it is just comedic gold. You know what I mean?
Listen, that's it. It really is.
And, they've taken some hits, over the years, not unlike, Family Guy. Listen, I had somebody basically publicly fucking, excommunicate me because of a Family Guy episode that I played on the radio, man.
Yes, and here's the thing with that. That's something that that is the ultimate disrespect. That is the ultimate form of censorship, which is nasty.
Oh, it's not even just that. Listen, we don't have loyalty is. Yeah, but it's not even that. Like, I know a guy out there, and I will call it out for what it is. My brother Jay, his band Alloy Rain went through some shit and stuff, and he's got his band name back now, and he's going to rework the music and stuff like that. And I'm not going to get into all the details of this, Pat, but, sometimes, a duck is a duck is a duck. You look at a thing, and, and I met this guy, I talked to this guy. He's actually a really cool guy. And I've seen this, unfortunately, play out too many times in the music industry. A band comes together, some shit, and then all of a sudden, the fucking ego, shows up and just devours and fucks everything up in the process because of some bullshit narrative. Oh, I don't want the Chamber of Commerce to look at me badly, or whatever the fucking stupidity may be in the moment. And they don't understand that it's all bullshit. That's why I think we need Lebowski for president, man. I'm seriously, this aggression it can't stand, man. It can't stand.
Actually, I was thinking of writing in The Predator. Yeah, but he's pretty
listen.
Cool.
I would be okay, as long as the reservation's on Kansas again. That's going to be my kind of go-to.
Why you don't? What is with you in Kansas, man? That's
because I think Kansas is probably the only place in the country that can actually handle it.
Probably.
I mean, I don't know. It's just a go-to. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to keep this going. I'm going to play some Hollowell. They got some shows coming up. You can check them out online, Facebook, social media. Really great people. Much love to them. I see my sister, the vampire witch, is giggling. Somebody's gonna pay the price. She's in mode. She's prowling. So yeah, we're gonna run the music and hide for a fucking moment. So yeah, welcome back. We snuck in a little bit of Me, Myself, and I, aka Ayla Huff. My sister's working on some new music, and I've been honored. She sent me some stuff to work with, so I'm gonna jump back into the mix in between the stuff that Ed and I and the rest of the Wolves are working on. So I have this beautiful graphic, and you'll be able to go back later, brother, and take a look at it, but I'll just give you the caption. And it just basically says this: some people just drain the fucking nice right out of you.
They do.
Which is a true statement. Some people do. Now, here is the framework. And we're going to kind of close out tonight with this little dance, as we'll call it. And it's simply called the 500-pound roach in the room, or AKA who done fucked up. Now, I'll let you set the story, and then I will, of course, interject my thoughts on said matter, because the story really is born from you. So why don't you, just in your own words, and again, this is, in the court of opinion and stuff like that, these are their stories.
Well, first of all, full disclosure, I do not own a pet skunk.
Okay.
Nor do I own a wild skunk.
Well, I can also testify that you don't smoke weed.
I do not.
Because I do. So this is how I know. So please continue.
So I go into the studio on a Thursday to do Over the Edge. And I walk in. I check everything. I'm good. But there's something funny. I smell what can only be described as weed.
Ooh, wee.
Yeah, I know. Reefer Madness is my favorite a PSA movie. Anyway, you got that? Anyway, I'm thinking to myself, well, that can't be. But it does smell like it. I'm thinking, well, maybe I didn't think about it. Okay, I just put it out of my mind. So I do the show, and I keep smelling it. But I think I'm becoming used to it because I've been there for a while. So, excuse me, I'm still smelling it. So
but it's there. Something's not right. Something doesn't smell.
Yeah, something wasn't right, man.
It's not unlike when you have something in your garbage that's been sitting there for a while. The smell's going to be there. It's there. You're just not exactly sure where the fuck it's coming from. You know what I mean? Or the analogy. Or somebody rips a really fart fart in one room, and then all of a sudden, you're walking through a cloud. But yeah, so you knew that something didn't smell right. You know what I mean? That this was not.
I thought maybe. Well, I thought I shit my pants, but I didn't. So it couldn't be that.
We already know within the Contini context, if you don't shit your pants, it's a good day.
It's a wonderful day. What do you mean good? It's a great day.
Well, I mean, listen, I didn't want to give it too much energy, but you're sure it can be great.
Oh no. For an old man, that's a fucking accomplishment. It really is, especially overnight. So I decided I'm going to text my boss. And we all know who that is.
Judah.
So I say,
Judah.
I say, listen, not for nothing. But, and I did say this, I believe. I know there's no pet skunks in here. There's no wild skunks in here. But I do sure smell skunk weed.
Yes, and your classic style of just, hey, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly right. That's just say, listen, by the way.
Because listen, we know it's not his fault.
It smells like weed.
Because all roads at the radio station go back to Brian Judah. Listen, all joking aside, he does so much. He gives him so much of his fucking time, constantly dealing.
Really does.
And trust me, you and I hear the stories of the insanity sometimes that he has to contend with. So you can't help but empathize and be like, yeah, man, I don't want your fucking job. I love you, but I couldn't do what he did. We would have half a radio station at that if I were put in that position. So I already know.
Hey, he's a wonderful guy.
I already removed myself from the equation. I do what I can. But yeah, so, and he's the loving guy. So he's like, no, nobody's that fucked up, but you and I both
He did.
know.
He said, well,
Yeah,
somebody's smoking weed in
somebody's that fucked up. Somebody went in there because what was
there.
found?
The next day, right, he sends me a picture of a blunt and ashes.
Well, what was left? That's the roach for those of you who don't speak
that
drug.
That is a 500-pound roach.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, all right, I didn't see that. Now I smelt it. They said, well, you could have seen it from where you were. I said, but when I'm at the control board, I'm not really looking over
Brother,
there.
you have a hard time seeing the goddamn computer screen. There's no way. There's no way you're going to see a roach 20 feet across the other side of the room.
No, and
I love you,
stuff there.
but it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
It isn't.
Paris Hilton could drop down with her vagina wide open and you would miss it. You would miss it.
No, I would miss it, yeah.
Yeah, you would absolutely miss it. You would be like, how the hell did that happen? It'd be like, no, man, it was, and you'd be like, no. Maybe you smelled it, but no, you didn't see it. That's for sure.
So,
and yes, I went there.
Yes, you did.
But yes, so there was a fucking somebody actually decided to fire it up in the goddamn studio, and then had the audacity to just kind of ash it on the table and then just leave it there, like, Now, granted, in fairness, it is legal in New York.
Yeah, but.
There is a framework. It's just like, come on, man. Really? Are you that much of a fucking animal that you can't just smoke outside and just, first and foremost, we have the basic equipment that we have to make the fucking station functionable. The last thing we need are fucking idiot people smoking or drinking around the fucking equipment. I mean, it's like, oh my fucking God. If it isn't hard enough to keep the fucking place running, somebody just decided, fuck it, and just. But that
is part of the thing.
Yeah,
it's dangerous.
Judah's jumping in. He's saying, but he missed it sitting next to him during the morning show. Listen, again, in fairness, I don't see you making the correlation. If it were me, okay, I would have immediately. I would have like a bloodhound. I'd be like, I know that smell. That's that's Blue Dreams. Yeah, 2022 strain from Southern California. There it is, right there. It's like 48 feet buried under carpet. I would have found it. But there's no way, man. There's no way you would ever fucking find it.
Oh no. No, you could ask Diane. I can't find anything in my own house, even if it's staring me in the face.
Dude, you lose your phone on a regular basis. You're just like in a random pocket somewhere.
I was looking for it yesterday while I was talking to Diane while it was in my hand.
Well, we'd love you for this. But again, back to the analogy, and this is really where this is the dynamic that somebody within our fucking station, okay?
Yeah.
All right. And we're calling it out. We don't know who it is. So we're not blaming people. We're not saying, hey, you know what I mean? It was a little gray man wearing an apron, beamed down from a ship or some shit like that. We don't know, but somebody.
From an obelisk.
Somebody came through an obelisk. You know what I mean? Something crawled out of the. I mean, listen, I guess there could be somebody living in the fucking rafters that when nobody's looking just decides, hey, this is a good place to smoke some weed. There's always that, 0.3% probability within the Contini context, but
the thing is,
but we know, and we know from other incidents that not everybody really, again, pays attention or takes to the degree that we would like the seriousness about, hey, don't shit where you eat. You know what I mean? Have a little bit more framework of respect. You know what I mean?
There's people that don't, though.
Listen, I don't,
here's just. Here. And Brian has a heart of gold, and he does trust. And I love him.
Oh, I love him too.
Did that.
But that's why he's got the bad and the ugly, though. So he's got plausible deniability. He can just be like, listen, those two motherfuckers are out of control. I can't stop them. And I'm totally cool with that. Like, again,
Yeah, chaos and
you
mayhem.
and I both, we're live, we're public. I'll own that shit. I have no issue being the emotional punching bag for whoever needs it to want to dance in that particular mouth of madness. I'm okay playing that particular fucking game because I think it's ridiculous. I think we shouldn't even have to have these types of conversations. You know what I mean? And I personally, again, I've said this before and I'll always go back to it. A little bit of public crucifixions go a long way. It doesn't take a whole lot when you go into that extreme level of example and be like, listen, play fucked up games, win fucked up prizes. Now,
yeah, but you go to crucifixion, I go to impaling. I like.
Well, I mean, but that's because you have the whole pegging fear thing. So you in some degrees, I think it outward, like it translates where you have to peg other people.
I didn't even know what that was.
I think it's a trauma. You know what I mean? I think somewhere in your maybe you saw it in a movie on HBO late at night, and you were like, "What the fuck is this?" And because they do that.
No idea.
That's what they do to you. Like you're innocently trying to watch a football game, and then all of a sudden, there's Taylor Swift. And you're like, "What the fuck? I didn't order Taylor Swift. I just wanted a pepperoni pizza." It's like, no, you get Taylor Swift. And it's just like, okay, well, why? And nobody's been able to give me a clear answer besides, well, she's dating a football player. I'm like, okay. What about what about all the other girlfriends and wives and stuff like that? Why aren't we talking or focusing about them? I mean, do you have an answer?
I got some blowback on that. I mentioned I didn't want to see her anymore, and I guess some people didn't.
Oh,
like that. Well,
you got some of the hate, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know what? The fuck do I care what she does? She's not on the field.
Again, I'm not trying to take anything away, but like again, I made a commentary about one of the guys out here on the internet that does these animated parody types of things, and he takes pop culture and people who are pseudo famous, and he rips them just like, South Park and Family Guy and, a whole bunch of others.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking comedic free speech. So he did this one about Travis and Taylor, and he's been getting bombarded with the most ridiculous hate online. Women are just losing their minds. They're talking about, how he's going to like die from the inside out in 3 days. And, they're all savoring his untimely, and it was just like really off the wall shit. It's like the dude made an animated cartoon that's just fucking comedy. Like how is this shattered the reality that is Taylor Swift? Because I mean, again, I don't get it. I don't understand. You know what I mean? I would understand, if the guy went out there and went like on an N-word bombathon and just went into some, racist rape fantasy or some stupid shit like that. Okay, yeah, guess what? You have a right to be pissed off when people go extreme. But all he did was just call out the fact that this was kind of a fucked up dynamic here in football, and it's weird, and the people who are all fawning over it, just like, oh my God, she's dating a football, and it's just like, who the fuck cares? We just want to watch a football game. That's really, I mean, you're a football guy, right?
That is. Yeah. I mean,
you don't want Taylor Swift in your football, right? Just like you don't want pineapple on your pizza.
Fuck that, man. That's just wrong. That's just fucking wrong.
See, I know you're serious,
can't even
man.
fucking speak of that, man. You can't speak of that shit no more. That's just fucked up. Yeah, I know you're Italian, man. But
listen, this is what we've been reduced to. You know what I mean? This is now where the conversation goes. I made the same context a couple weeks ago about the Grammys. You know what I mean? Fucking, you have one element where you have somebody who has like Joni Mitchell for years been an icon. A beacon for women's rights and equality and all these beautiful, great things, came back from a brain aneurysm, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the only narrative that I saw blasted all over the fucking media was, Miley Cyrus and how she forgot to wear her underwear. And it was just like,
she forgot.
What the, like, really, this is the Grammys. Why is this even tolerated? Like, why are we having these dialogues? And then, similar analogy with, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, who the fuck in their right mind thinks Mariah Carey is rock and roll? That's like, again, that's like dog shit pizza. And it's not that her music is bad. I'm not trying to say that Mariah Carey is a bad musician.
Not about the music.
But her holiday stuff, is traumatizing and terrifying. But that's because she's been turned into a fucking horrible nightmare meme. But rock and roll?
It's a lot different. And the Grammys are what they are. But I have real issues with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Unless you put subgenres in that category, you can't keep a rock band out and put a pop singer in for that one slot. So you have to
but they have. Listen, they've proven that they have. They don't give a fuck, man.
No, that's my point. So I don't bother with any of that shit.
But listen, Jan Wenner, he said the unspoken shit out loud. He completely fucked up in that New York Times interview, and he basically was like, well, the reason why he didn't have any women or people of color in his book was basically because they were less than, and they didn't reach the standard as far as he was concerned when it comes to rock and roll. And people have been saying for fucking years that he's just an egomaniacal fucking asshole. And, me personally, I always love the dynamic of how people who don't actually make music has so much to say about how music works. You know what I mean? It's just like, what the fuck, man? That's like me and you trying to talk about what it is like to get pregnant. It's never happened. It's never going to happen. What perspective do we have? It'd be absolute bullshit.
We have no idea.
But here's this guy who's just basically, well, let me tell you what real music is. And people, again, for years have been questioning, like, hey, how the fuck does, this get in? But, something like Peter Frampton, that, like, they took all these years, you know what I mean? A lot of groups, fucking,
great, man.
Blind Faith still isn't in there. Jethro Tull has just been ignored. Yeah. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, King Crimson.
I know.
Fucking list goes on and on and on. Blackfoot, Marshall Tucker Band, all been fucking ignored. Iggy Pop. Yep. You know what I mean? But Mariah Carey represents rock and roll. Or Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige. Whenever I go to my classic rock list, how about you? You got Mary J. Blige in your list?
Actually, I thought her name was Bilge until I read it close.
And listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from her as a performer. I'm really not. Okay? I think they have a place. I think they've paid their dues to the degree. Okay? Now, again, if you want to talk to me like Tina Turner, I would absolutely say is deserving of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for her contributions. Aretha Franklin. Absolutely. Yes. Lena Simone. There are a lot of women who have, through either blues, rock, or variations within rock and roll, be it through Motown or anything through those years, they're absolutely deserving.
Oh, no, I agree.
Just as there, plenty of men of character, Jimi Hendrix, you know what I mean? Richie Havens, And
that's a dude nobody talks about. He was really, really good, and his opening performance at Woodstock was breathtaking.
Again, for the guy who was one of the founders and editors of Rolling Stone magazine, who helped create the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, to publicly come out doing a New York Times interview and basically say, like, women and black people don't just cut the mustard. Sorry, have a nice day. Was just like the most colossal step in your own shit. Boom. He's finally off the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and now the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is doing a hard left turn. But hey, by the way, we're still going to throw Mariah Carey and Mary J. Blige and Kool and the Gang into the mix. Now, humbly, here's the other side of the analogy, and I hate to say it, but I have to say it. That would be like putting Ted Nugent into the BET Awards. Like, Ted Nugent now is going to take an award for best black guitarist of the year. It's insulting, man. It's fucking ridiculous.
It is. And Kool and the Gang, I believe, hails from Jersey City, though.
Listen, they're a great band, but they're not rock and roll, man. They're not rock and roll. They were part of the disco era. Like, now again, if disco wants to create a disco Hall of Fame, I'm all for it. I'm all for
I'm
it.
not,
Cool, go
but
for it. You got the Country Music Hall of Fame. You know, I don't give a shit if everybody wants to have it do it. Personally, I'd rather see the Music Hall of Fame. That way we don't
we
have
talked
to.
about that. That's
Right.
great.
Right. So we don't have to segue into all these divisionary pieces. You over here, you're in that group over there. Oh, you know, you can't be a part of this because that's what fucks us up. And that's, you know, the community. That's the comedy of errors that I guess, you know, we're really kind of dancing around, besides the 500-pound roach in the room, which really set the stage for the whole thing.
But plus, here's the other thing too. I'm not one of those, believe it or not, who puts much credence, not CCR, into award shows, ceremonies, when people, you know, peers are going to pat each other on the back for what I consider doing their job. Now, you know, I'm an actor, and it's a difficult thing to do, to actually become someone else and make it real. It's not that easy to do.
Listen, I show up for the comedy. I want more like the Will Smith analogy, like just show up and fucking slap somebody. You know what I mean? I want to see people shit themselves. I want to see them lose their fucking minds. You know what I mean? I want to see Ted Nugent just come up there and just put himself up on the cross and be like, "Hey, I'm the new Messiah. Everybody come have a drink of my blood." You know what I mean? Just cut to the fucking chase. Let's just go full on rock and roll circus. You know what I mean? Andy Warhol's wet dream. You know what I mean? Just shove everybody into a can of tomato soup.
You know, it's interesting because I don't consider me personally, art is subjective. When he fucking painted or photographed a Campbell's tomato soup can, that was it. That was his biggest, and millions of dollars were spent on it.
Listen, it's the same analogy with the Kardashians. You know, she blew a basketball tape, you know, and all of a sudden they became experts on life. You know, and people bought into it. And then, you know, it just became this, you know, keeping up with the Kardashians. You know, and it's like, really? I use the same analogy, and I know it's one of my mother's grindy kind of moments, the Jersey Shore thing, because, you know, as Italian American, she looks at that and it's just like, you motherfuckers are not Italian to begin with. And this does not represent Italian people. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, come down to the Jersey Shore, get drunk, get an STD, fuck your boyfriend's girlfriend's mother's dog, you know what I mean? And act like a buffoon, and let's just embarrass everybody in this town and give Italians everywhere a bad name.
Well, that's the thing between that and the representation of Italians as monsters.
Well, yeah, a lot of people bitched about The Sopranos for the very same reason. It's like, hey, everybody's a fucking, you know, just like, no, man, you listen. But, you know, The Godfather did it. But this has always been the analogy. You know, the Irish dance with it, with the drunken Irish cop analogy, or, you know, unfortunately, you know, the Jews got to deal with it, you know, over, you know, the diamond sales guy in Brooklyn with the big fucking beard, you know what I mean? And African-American communities got the Cat Williams, you know, pimp stereotype, you know what I mean? Slapping their bitches around. And, you know, we could go on and on and on and on about the stereotypical spins. But when you put it into a comedic element, like I'll be the first one to admit, I enjoy watching Cat Williams do the pimp routine type of thing. Even though some people would say, well, you know, isn't that racist and stereotype? It's like, no, man, he's just making fun of a context. Anybody that saw those 70s exploitation movies back in the day.
Blaxploitation.
Right,
yeah.
You know what the fuck I'm talking about, man. You know
I
what
love
I mean?
them all.
You know, and I remember as a kid, you know, seeing those elements, you know what I mean? So, you know, this wasn't just like imaginary made up shit. You know, these were reflections of our culture, of our time. You know, it's the same analogy as I got older. You know, CBGBs, you know what I mean? The Village. Yeah. Let me tell you, The Village around Halloween was an absolute fucking freak show. You know what I mean? But it was some great comedy, you know, and that's not to begrudge anybody's lifestyle choices or anything like that. It just, you know, listen, some people are fucking weird. You know what I mean? And you can laugh at it and take it in the spirit of it is to say, it's like, hey, as long as you're not trying to stick it in my ass, you know, that's fine. You know, you want to run around like a butterfly, have a nice day. But we have this weird intolerance now, you know, for even joking about those things. Like, I'm sure somebody somewhere is like, he's fucking trans. That's like, no, I'm not fucking against trans people or gay people or anything. Some of the best people that I know have alternate lifestyle elements, and I love them, and I support it and stuff. But that doesn't mean we can't fucking laugh and joke about it when something's either A, in the extreme, or, let's be honest, something is fucking funny. You know what I mean? It's like, why can't we laugh? Why does it all have to be, no, you must not laugh at that. You must be serious. That's
the danger of trying to get into someone's head and you say what they're thinking about or they're going to do without knowing them. I'm a fucking guy who just likes to make fun.
Is this how we're going to end up on the terrorist watch list? Do you feel it coming?
No, that's okay. Listen, every time I fly, they do a special pat down on me because I asked Diane one day, I mean, do I look like a fucking Middle East terrorist? She says, yeah. I said, okay.
Yes, and this moment also was brought to you by Acme Middle Eastern Division, a satellite group.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Daisy in the house. This is where she likes to go outside and
she's like a child, dude. She knows you're on the phone. She's like, I can fuck with him now.
Yeah.
Look at him. I'm just going to look at him stupid and pretend like I don't understand him because what are you really going to do about it?
That dog owns me. I mean, Walker,
at least she's not trying to hump Walker right now.
Oh, she does that all the time.
Yeah, listen, I'm all for the women's rights. You know, I guess the animals are getting in on it. I guess femininity at some degree has really just, you know, nature is like, hey, you know, there's a lot of pegging. There's a lot of pegging coming down the pike, man. I sense it.
She just lets him know that she's in charge of everything. And his eyes bug out. It's fucking hilarious. His eyes bug out. And he just sits there.
Dude, I had this horrible thing. One of the shows that my kid watched growing up was this Nickelodeon cartoon. I don't know if you've ever seen it with any of the kids, called Courage the Cowardly Dog. And it just,
oh, hell yeah.
All right, so you know, remember? So I just saw Walker as Courage, and Daisy is just like one of the monstrosities, and you're Yusuf, and you're just like, stupid dog. You know what I mean? And he's just like, just poor Walker. He's just like, it's just all his doghood has been removed. Daisy has basically made him his bitch. It's like, yeah, get over here, doggy. Let me show you how it is.
Oh yeah, it's sometimes it is really hilarious.
Well,
I'm lying. It's always fun.
It's just another day in the Contini household.
It is. And then Diane will say to me, "Why aren't you yelling at her?"
Oh, and it gets even funnier when Otivia brings Allison over, and Allison's just like the smallest of all the dogs, and she's just like, you know what I mean? She's just running around, and like Daisy
chases Walker all over the place.
Daisy could just like swallow half of her in just one bite. But, you know, she, you know, again, that this is the analogy, you know, animals actually do have personalities and feelings and quirkiness and gas and, you know, all kinds of, you know, some of the same shit that we do.
Well, they are, I mean, Walker, he's having some rough time, but he's still active, you know. He still pisses me off. And I still give him, you know, a treat.
And he'll still eat anything that even comes close to the floor?
Even before it gets to the floor.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, you know, he's not stupid. You know, again, he's got that, hey, if you're not looking, does that technically mean that it's mine now?
No, I know. And he's right. I'm not eating it off the floor.
Yeah, well, listen, hey.
Okay. There's sometimes, you know.
So we debated what are we going to, you know, be able to do about some of these things. And I guess the general consensus is we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep making fun of some of the things that we can. We're going to try and stay sane within it. So we're at the 10:30 hour. I know that, you know, definitely for you're outside the box. I gotta give you the props for it, brother. We're gonna We're going to be doing that rock and roll lifestyle again, 3 o'clock in the morning, shitty bars. You know what I mean?
My dream.
Can you smell it? Can you smell the dirty bathroom aroma?
I can, yes. Yes, I can, yeah.
Isn't that everything you want in rock and roll?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. And actually, yeah. Why not?
And that, boys
Listen,
and girls,
I've done so many things.
that's what's called satire. Okay, don't worry, kids. I'm not taking Grandpa to hell. Not yet.
No, I may be driving a bus, man.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna say, you know, I think you've already made arrangements. I sense a party. I sense a party coming up there. I think, like we talked about, we're going to do the music and do the people and make it into, you know, like the neighborhood type of everybody be like, oh my God, do you see what they're doing? They're having a good time, Bob. What? They're not wearing aprons. What the fuck is going on in this neighborhood? Yes, it'll be all. Yeah, listen. Sometimes the best solution is to just let it all fucking hang out, man. Let it all hang out. Fuck it. Live. I want to thank you again, my brother, for making this memorable. Shia says it's past life trauma. And I want to shout out my sister Jess. Her and Shia are down there. I forget where they are. They're somewhere deep. I'll scroll back up. They're not here in the cold. That's what we know. I know they're out there. Here it is. All the way at the beginning of the chat. South Padre Island. They're at South Padre Island right now.
Oh, I love it there. I used to love to go there when I was in Fort Sam Houston. I freaking love the Padre Islands.
Yeah, listen, this was something the two of them had planned for a while, and you know what I mean. They're doing the run. You know, obviously Shia has family in Texas as well too. So try and do the things that they can where they can. I think it was all. Listen, I think it was a conspiracy to begin with. I think the two of them are like, haha, they're going to be cold and stuff, but we're just going to run away here and have a good time and just leave me to my. But here's the mistake: they left me to my own devices. It's just like there's nobody here to yell at me anymore.
I'm not allowed to be unsupervised by an adult.
Yeah, that's why I'm kidnapping you Friday, man. We're going off the reservation. Quite literally. Yeah, it's a good time to be bad. It's a good time to be bad, man. That's why you're the bad. You're a great shining example of it.
I will do the baddest I can.
Yeah, no, listen, this is the way. I have spoken.
And then we shall accomplish that.
Yes, we shall. A lot of things coming down the pike. We'll be doing this again. We're going to expand on things. Like I said, you got your show Thursday 3 to 5 over in Rochester Free Radio, and then Friday morning 9 a.m. to noon. You and I also will be doing the Friday show because Brian's doing the happy house moving thing. Him and Otivia are finally moving into their new home and stuff like that. So much love and support to them if they're still floating out there.
Yep.
Once you guys get through it, it'll get better. I know it's crazy right now. I can see Otivia like casting spells and cursing voodoo dolls and just, what I mean? But she's earned it. No. Listen, in fairness, she has earned it. She's paid her dues. Yes. But listen, anybody who's gone through this knows it's a pain in the ass to move, right? There's just no way around it. So they're going to do what they got to do. We're going to do the show. Remember, everybody out there, try and know that you are loved. Love each other as best as you can. But sometimes, and it's okay to call it out, some people just drain the fucking nice right out of you. Okay? They just do. It's okay. You can say it out loud.
They do.
You're allowed to. All right.
Yeah, but you know what? Make them irrelevant and it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, well, listen, sometimes, we have to work it through other ways. You know what I mean? I personally, I like the little voodoo doll. Like I have this pink one right here that came from
I felt that.
Yeah, I think this one came from Tony. And Shy left it here. So
Nice.
what I have done is I've taken a blunt roach and I have pinned it to the offending party's testicles. I think that's a viable universal equivalent. Play fucked up, James, win fucked up prizes. I mean, that's been the theme of tonight's Comedy of Errors. That's it, not? Right?
That is.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. All right.
That really is.
So we got to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to close it out with some prayer. Frail. Be nice if I could fucking speak. Smoke.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's way overrated.
Listen, I'll be the first one to admit I've had to compensate smoking the cigarettes with, smoking a little bit of weed just so that way my blood pressure didn't
And that's fine, man.
blow the fuck out the other side of the window.
Just not
Hey,
for
listen,
me.
everybody, you eat meat, I smoke weed. We all compensate in our own kind of ways.
We do. And
Yeah.
I had a nice fucking New York strip steak for dinner tonight.
Did you really?
I did, and it was cooked beautifully.
Damn, man. See,
No, I'm really good at cooking this stuff.
I know. Well, listen, we've done a few steaks over your place, man. So
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
do,
fucking good, man.
I do know the dance. Well, listen, give Mama my love and stuff. Thank you again,
I
brother.
will do that.
Again, Ed will be on Thursday, 3 to 5 p.m. over the Edge, Rochester Free Radio. And I'll be back next Tuesday. And again, I'm going to close it out with some Frail from their live performance of Darker Than Black. Until next time.
The little monsters at our door laugh at us and call us whores. Take an axe and split their head, laugh at them because now they're dead.